But let's kind of move forward into, this is kind of the precursor to Med4HOPE, right? When did you finalize the idea? Where did you come up with the idea? We need to do something about the fact that there's no standard operating procedures or standardization in medicine for homeless people, right? For street medicine. When did you come up with the idea?
This was not really one special moment. It kind of grew into my plans, where it was a lot of events, like when I had new doctors and they did terrible mistakes. And, the doctors, it wasn't only that the homeless people had a wrong treatment. It was also that the doctors got frustrated because they couldn't cope with it. They couldn't create trust.
They were unhappy with their
they didn't understand why
with their incapability to deal with something that they thought they were capable of dealing with.
Yes, and they didn't understand why they couldn't create compliance, and
why these darn homeless won't do what I want them to do.
Yeah, and why they are so unthankful. Is this
ungrateful?
Word? Ungrateful. So the doctors themselves got kind of burnout or frustrated, and then they quit it, and they quit. And also there were terrible mistakes. For example, it's one only. I won't give you a medical education right here now. But for example, if you're a normal doctor and you see that people have these feet, swollen, and the ankles are swollen.
Water feet or
water
feet.
Yeah. You just used to give them diuretics. That's a classical treatment. But if you treat a homeless person, you have to think of the whole picture every time with every single medicine. If you give them diuretics, they have one trouser, no toilet.
So they have only one pair of underpants?
Yeah, one pair of underpants, one pair of trousers.
Maybe one pair of pants, which are not very clean to begin with.
Yeah, and no toilets available. So if you give them pills diuretics that they lose the water, they will create other problems for them. So maybe they lose the place where they can sleep because of the incontinence, which occurs with alcohol. And then you give them the water pills, and the incontinence is even worse. And besides,
so then shelters won't take people who
lose urine all the time. And besides, it's not really also. On the one hand, for the person, it may create problems for the patient, but also it is not adequate in a medical way of treatment because they don't have these ankles in the water because of a heart failure or a kidney insufficiency.
Which is a classic thing that somebody might come to your practice
which is the indication for diuretics, actually. But they have mostly the swollen ankles because they're on their feet the whole day, It's a venous problem, mostly. Venous, yeah. Because they're just on their feet. They cannot rest at home, like put the feet somewhere up. So this
once again, we're coming back to...
This is really wrong to give them a diuretic. It's not only... It would be better if... It's hard to say, but if they would not have met any doctor, because the harm was bigger than the blessing, or I don't know the word.
So
right
what
now.
I think is important for us people who have the luxury of being medically insured and having a roof over our head, medical practice is something that's evolved over decades and decades. They made many, many mistakes, and those many, many mistakes led to a standard of practice that we all have a benefit of. And what you're addressing in homeless people is that this practice does not always apply perfectly to a different context. And the context that we're talking about here is somebody who might have mental health issues, who might be an alcoholic, and who doesn't have a roof over his head and the possibility of acting the same way that a normal patient is. So this is a powerful.